What's up, everybody? This is the Booch, and welcome to episode 8 of my hit show, Booch Shoots On. And this week, we got a very special one here. This is one that was, I was specifically asked to do after the video I put out last week, because a lot of people were talking about this with me online. And that is, of course, Booch Shoots On, WWE Superstars getting released. Now, just to be clear, for everybody out there listening, this is not me sharing my thoughts on WWE releasing superstars in general. This is me shooting on the WWE superstars who just recently got released due to the pandemic. You know, we had like 15 plus superstars were let go from the WWE. There were superstars, there were producers, about 4 NXT guys got lost their jobs over this, and obviously the entire wrestling world is up in arms. A lot of wrestling fans are pissed off. A lot of people have been venting about this, being angry about this. Obviously, some of the superstars are not taking it very well. For example, one guy who got let go was Drake Maverick, who TNA fans, you'll remember him as Rockstar Spud. He had a very emotional video about being let go and had a lot of passionate things to say. And, you know, he's still participating in the NXT Cruiserweight Championship tournament. And he said he was going to give it his all. And if this is the last time we see him in the ring, we're going to see the very best of what he's got, thus making me respect him even more than I already do. And, of course, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson were also let go. And I know AJ Styles feels really, really bad about it. He kind of blames himself because, you know, he was the leader of the OC and feels that he let down his buddies by them not having a job, even though none of this is AJ Styles' fault at all, but, you know, he does feel kind of responsible. And I look at the list of people that got eliminated, and, you know, obviously EC3 was probably the most disappointing for me personally. I felt that EC3 was a guy that was being mishandled so much in WWE. I mean, this is a guy who in NXT, if he had stayed in NXT for a period of time, he'd have been the champion. Fact. EC3 to me is an incredible talent. And the fact that he's reinventing himself on Twitter, I definitely see him getting picked up at some point down the road. You know, then you had the usual people like your Kurt Hawkins, your Eric Youngs, your Zack Ryders, Leo Rush, Heath Slater. Those guys I kind of expected to be let go. Eric Rowan, that was a given. I was surprised he hadn't gotten let go a long time ago. Just to be clear, I'm not hating on any of these guys. I'm just saying they weren't doing much, and they were kind of taking up space. But Mike Keota was the one that shocked me the most, because he's like a senior referee. He's been around the WWE for years. He's one of those guys that almost everybody knows. Outside of Earl Hebner, he's like the most popular referee in WWE. There was like 4 that were very popular. You know, there was Earl Hebner, there was Mike Keota, there was Tim White when he was there, and Teddy Long before he became a manager, and the Holla Holla player. He was also really popular. And of course, Charles Robinson is still a great referee as well, known for being Lil Nate in WCW. So, you know, the Bennett, you know, Mike Kanellis and Maria Kanellis, they got eliminated. You know, they were let go, and that was something that was waiting to happen. That was just waiting to happen. In fact, they were waiting for their releases because they were pretty much taken off TV because they were sick and tired of the gimmick, and I don't blame them because Mike Kanellis was being treated like a cuckold the whole entire time. The whole pussy whip thing was pathetic. It was sad to watch because there was never going to be a payoff, you know. And No Way Jose, you know, he had opportunity, but in my opinion, WWE messed this up when he went to the main roster and they gave him a conga line. He didn't need a conga line. The fans were his conga line in NXT. Instead, they made him a glorified Adam Rose thing, and it was stupid. It was better when No Way Jose came out by himself, you know, dancing the No Way Jose, No Way Jose, and he would go over the barricade, and he'd be in the crowd, and the audience would be his conga line. He was dancing with the crowd. That's what got him over in NXT and made him such a powerhouse talent. And then, of course, a lot of producers got eliminated. Your like Kurt Angle, Shane Helms, Billy Kidman, Mike Rotunda. This is where I kind of have an issue because a lot of these backstage producers are former in-ring wrestlers. And I think that's a problem with WWE. When they let go of guys like Fit Finlay and everything else who have wrestling minds, who are smart. That's been one of the biggest issues that WWE has. They rely too much on their TV people and not enough on their wrestling people. They need to be the ones agenting matches and looking things up because they know what they're doing. The only thing the TV people can do is write segments for TV, which is why I believe you got to have a happy middle ground in a writer's room. You got to have wrestlers in there and you got to have TV writers in there. That way you got the wrestlers giving the ideas and the TV format people putting it in a TV format. Because if you have too much of the other, you mess it up. If you have too many TV writers, it messes up the wrestling aspect. If you have too many wrestlers, it'll mess up the TV aspect. Because not everybody in the wrestling business has a TV producing background. Most of them just know how to wrestle, and that's it. You know, so I felt like that was kind of messed up. And obviously, you know, and the thing is, as sad as I am that a lot of these guys got released, I'm not as mad as most fans are, though. And I'll tell you why. Because number one, a lot of the guys that were getting released, a lot of fans wanted to see go. Whether it was because you didn't like them, or if it was because WWE wasn't using them. They were being underutilized. Some of these guys like EC3 should have gotten major pushes, but they threw him in the background. Made him a 24/7 champion. And just wasted great talent. And they were pushing a lot of guys who had no business being pushed. Eric Rowan's thing bombed with that freaking toy spider. You know, I love Gallows and Anderson, but other than winning that best tag team in the world cup at a Saudi show, they weren't doing anything either. You know? Like I'm saying, I don't want anybody to lose their jobs necessarily, but some of these guys were going to go anyway. Also, here's another thing that I think most people forget. When you get released from a WWE contract, unless it specifies otherwise, there's a 90-day non-compete clause in every WWE contract. Now, Matt Hardy, when he left, his contract expired. He wasn't released. He didn't quit. He didn't get fired. He let the contract run out. And when it ran out, he didn't resign. So that contract was dead. Once that contract expired, Matt was free to do whatever he wanted. He was free to talk to everybody. He even admitted he had conversations with Triple H about potentially coming back and doing something in NXT. But in the end, he ended up going to All Elite Wrestling. So, the way I see it, pandemic or no pandemic, if these guys had gotten released, even without the pandemic, they'd still have to wait 90 days before any wrestling company could pick them up. Or at least any televised wrestling company could pick them up. They could probably work some indie shows, but until they got, you know, the compete clause expires, they wouldn't be allowed to go anywhere anyway. So the way I see it, it's not that, I don't think this is, now is it sad that a lot of these guys got eliminated? Yes. But I don't think this is something we should be pissed off at WWE for. I really don't. Because wrestlers get released and come and go all the time. And like I said, after 90 days, they can go somewhere else. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't see this pandemic lasting longer than 90 days. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this will last a lot longer than I think. I mean, we all thought it was going to end at the end of the month. Hell, you know, I mean, hell, here in Georgia, they've already started opening up businesses and everything else. Although some business owners are refusing to listen to it and are not going to open their businesses, which is fine. It's up to them. If they want to stay home, I guess that's how they want to view it. I'm not going to tell somebody how to run their business. I've given my thoughts on this on last week's show. But, like I said, they would still have to wait 90 days. So unless this pandemic lasts longer than 90 days, these guys are going to have jobs when this is over. Because some of them might get rehired by WWE when after they've afforded everything and cut the costs. They could probably just bring some of these guys back. In fact, I heard some of these guys have gotten Furl Armed. I think that's what it's called. I think somebody taught me that phrase. I've been hearing it a lot. I don't know exactly what the fuck it means. I heard that it means they're basically sitting at home and then they have a job waiting for them when they get back. And I know that's how a lot of things have gone with the pandemic. There are people who've been laid off from jobs, but when everything opens up again, they have a job to go back to if they still want it. So that choice is up to them. Now, in this case, some of these guys might either A, not want to go back to WWE, or B, might not get picked up. Trust me, AEW might scoop some of these guys up. Now, are they going to scoop all these people up? No. Should they scoop all these people up? No. No. Do not flood the roster with all these people. You don't necessarily need them. I know Tony Khan's got a big checkbook, and that is going to be a major component when competing with WWE. But you can't overflow your company with ex-WWE talent. You have to pick the ones that are great, that are going to actually draw you money if pushed properly, and people that actually want to see. Like EC3 is tailor-made for AEW. In fact, a lot of people are speculating that if he went to AEW, he could form a tag team with MJF, and the two of them would have a great chemistry. I believe that. If they don't want to do that, I would say with EC3 as a babyface and MJF as a heel, you got a great rivalry right there. Because EC3 has proven that he can be a good babyface. He's been a heel, but he's, in my opinion, a better babyface. And he would have to be, because there's no way in hell MJF is going babyface anytime soon. He's been way too marketable and valuable as a heel. He gets too much controversy as a heel. It's just not a smart play to make MJF the babyface in that rivalry. So that would be great. And a lot of these guys, I know, obviously, Zack Ryder got eliminated. He got released. I know. I think Cody was wearing a Zack Ryder t-shirt at one point. Or was it Dolph? It was one of them was wearing a Zack Ryder t-shirt. So I think AEW will want to scoop up Zack Ryder, especially since he does a lot of internet stuff. That could also help. I know we got Primo and Epico Cologne. They could always use... AEW already has a great tag team division. They could always throw in more people. That's why I was shocked that they got released. If I was Primo and Epico, they should go to NXT, in my opinion. Put them in NXT where they can have some good tag team matches, because they obviously weren't getting pushed anywhere else. The rest of them, I don't really know. I mean, Eric Young, he could probably get... somewhere else. Some of these guys can go to Impact. Some of these guys can go to Ring of Honor in Japan. I heard Gallows and Anderson might go back to New Japan. That'd be a great spot for them. I think maybe... I know definitely No Way Jose, I think, would be great in TNA. Mike Bennett, I think they could bring the Miracle Mike Bennett gimmick back, her and Maria. Bring it to AEW and definitely knock some shit out of the park. So, I think there's a lot of great options for a lot of these guys. It's just that I feel like the hate that WWE is getting for this is a little bit more harsh than it needs to be. Because like I said before, even if there was no pandemic and all these wrestlers got released, they would have to wait 90 days before they could go anywhere. And plus, I'm not, obviously inside WWE's, financial business. But I'm pretty sure if these guys got released, they're getting paid decent amount of money, to stay home for those 90 days. Because usually when there's a non-compete clause, they give you a severance pay that gives you enough money to last you that period of time. Because I know, at least here in Atlanta, as far as I know about radio, when someone gets fired, there's a 6-month non-compete clause, to my knowledge. I know when Eric Von Hessler was fired from the regular guys, he had to wait 6 months before he can get back on the air, and then eventually WSB picked him up. Larry, when Larry Wax got fired, he had to wait 6 months. Then eventually he was on The Fan 2, and then where I teamed up with him again, and then eventually he got let go from that. Now that compete clause is up, and at any given time, Larry could get back on the air if a radio station wants to hire him, or if Larry so desires, he can definitely get back on the air somewhere. Tim Andrews, when he was let go, he didn't have a non-compete clause in his contract to my knowledge, but I know that there was some Georgia state law that enforced it anyway. And Tim wasn't going to spend the money to fight it in court. And plus, he made one cameo appearance on WSB with Eric, so Eric Von Hessler pretty much told Tim, when this is over, you got a job right here. And sure enough, he did. He fulfilled the non-compete clause, went down to WSB, teams up with Eric, and they're doing a hell of a great job. So non-compete clauses are, iffy, but they always, give you enough money to last you that period of time until you can, eventually go out and compete and get a job somewhere else. So I think financially for now, these guys are going to be okay. In WWE, the average superstar gets paid very well. Even if you're the lowest guy on the card, you're still making more money than the average human being that's out working a 9 to 5 and on the grind. So as sad as it is to see these guys go, I think they're going to be okay. Now, obviously, in 90 days, if this is still ongoing, then it could cause a problem, but I don't really blame WWE for doing this. And of course, they're saying, like, oh, they got rid of all these guys, but they couldn't get rid of the guys they paid the big contracts to. No, because they draw money. They make money. They bring in outside people. They're attractions. WWE's not going to release those people. But they'll release everybody else who aren't drawing money, who aren't putting asses in seats, that are just there. And in my opinion, for a lot of these guys, they need to leave. Again, not because I hate any of them, but because they were not being used. None of these guys were being used properly. None of them. I can't look at anybody on this list and think, oh, this guy was getting such a push. No. They were all just sitting there. In my opinion, this is a better opportunity for them to go out and go to another wrestling company and put themselves in a position where they can be marketable, where they can be valuable, so if they ever come back to WWE, WWE will actually know what the fuck to do with them. Don't believe me? Look at Drew McIntyre. He got fired from WWE. He went out as Drew Galloway, reinvented himself in TNA and a few other places, eventually came back to WWE, and guess what? He's now the WWE champion. Beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, won the Royal Rumble earlier this year. So sometimes leaving WWE is the best thing for these guys. And they can always come back. Like I said, when this thing is over, a lot of these guys might end up coming back. And the ones that don't, they can go AEW. They can go somewhere else. They can make a living for themselves. So I think that we should wait until after the 90-day non-compete clause is over, or until this pandemic is over and we all get back to our normal lives, before we start judging WWE for what they're doing. At least that's how I look at it. Alright, that, ladies and gentlemen, will conclude this week's episode of Booch Shoots On. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, ring the bell to be notified so you never miss another episode of Booch Shoots On, as well as other additional Vinny Bucci content. Also, you can check out my merchandise store, storefrontier.com/Vinny Bucci, a.k.a. The Booch. Get your hands on the Booch 365 t-shirts. The Pizza Baby t-shirts are up there. And, of course, Essential Lives Matter. The t-shirt campaign that's going from now till May 18th is still up there. Make sure you guys collect the t-shirt. Check it out. The Essential Lives Matter is available in unisex tee and tank top. And, of course, the other Booch 365 and the Pizza Babies, you can get a t-shirt, get a hoodie, get a sweatshirt, get a tank top, get a baby onesie. Check them out. They're amazing, awesome. Check back soon for a new episode. Until then, pizza, baby!